Well, hi there, everybody. This is Sam with Python Basics, and if I entered the number right, we are on live stream 5 for complete beginners. So we got a couple people here, so let's just go ahead and get started. So where'd we leave off? We were talking about enumerate, and I want to go ahead and move on with a couple other videos. So let's see. Oh, I know where we need to go. We need to talk about while loops. So we've learned about a for loop. Now we need to learn about for loops. Now we need to learn about while loops, and it's pretty self-explanatory. For a certain amount of time, and while a condition is met. So let's look at this. So while let's do x equals 0, while x is less than 10, print x, and then x increment 1. All right. So what happened here? So I have my condition, and this is going to happen until this becomes false. So we're going to hardwire this. We're going to do this a couple times. While true, print, excuse me guys, print hi. All right, so I'm going to hit this, and we're on line 21. So this is going to happen pretty fast. And then I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to restart shell. And now I'm on 426. So basically, over 400 highs were printed out. So I hardwired this right here, and I just made it true. So this was going to go on in infinite. So I do that to say this. Make very sure that you're not going to set up and have an infinite loop and you have something change in your while loop, or you'll have something like this. But that's how that works. So to really kind of test this, we can then even do this. Print x, oops, 10, close that out. Oh, I left out. We restarted, that's right. Now all of a sudden, this is not true. So I get 0, it's true, 1, true, so on and so forth. So this will only happen. So whenever you have an if, or a while, or an else, they have to be true. That was the thing that took me a while, and not a lot of people were saying that explicitly. This line has to be true. So in actually moving forward, there's actually an and or an or. So that's the next thing I kind of want to talk about that we need to cover. Actually, yeah. So the way that works is, and you have to have both of them, or you just have to have one of them be true. So let's make sure I got some good notes for and or. So all right. So if you're new here, thanks for joining us. This is our live stream. We're going to be doing live streams Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on top of our videos, daily videos, Monday through Friday. And I actually got in the descriptions down below the link to the playlist of the first 100 videos that these come from. So everything that I'm doing here, there is a specific micro video associated with it. So you can sit here and watch with us right now, and then if you want to go back and review, just hit that playlist and you can go back. It's the first, I think we're on, I think I looked, we're about halfway through episode, because now I think yesterday's video was 730, 731. So there are a ton of videos. And what I'm doing here, so you guys can understand the method to my madness, is that it's summertime and this is usually the slow time, but there are still people who are really trying to learn Python, and just an experiment to see, and it's actually been received quite well. So if there's something here that you want to go back and watch, there is a video, and it is in that playlist that's down in the description below. And if you're watching here, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up for me. So, all right, let's look. That's not the one I want. Sorry, guys. I want this. So let's talk about and or now. Let me see if I can find the example that I have. All right, so this is this. We'll go ahead and put this over here, copy this. So, all right, if 3 greater than 2 and 4 greater than 3, print yes. And then else, if I can type today, else print no. So, all right, what am I doing? Is 3 greater than 2? True. And, so both of these, when you use and, both of these conditions, Boolean tests, need to be true. So true and true. So is 4 greater than 3? True. Is 3 greater than 2? True. So when I run this, and let's see if what did I do? I didn't close that out properly. So I get yes, because both of these are true. Now, let's change this. Let's change this to 2. What should happen? I get no. Now, so let's copy this so you guys can have and see it. All right. Or, all I need is one of them to be true. All right. So 3 greater than 2, true. Or 2 greater than 3. That's false. But I got or here. So, oops, I meant to comment that out. Sorry about that. All right, so I get yes. Now, if I change this to 0, what do I get? I get no. All right, let's see. We got any? Finally catching this live. Hey, no problem. I appreciate you guys sitting here watching and spending your time and watching these with me. So if you're new here, we had a couple people jump in. If you have not, I think everybody's here that's been here before, so I won't slow you guys down. But all right, let's see where we are. All right, so I wanted to talk about, the string module. So let's say you were going to type out all the letters. A, B, C, D, or you could go all the keys across the keyboard, right? So you don't have to think about it and do the alphabet. Well, if you're lazy like me, that is going to frustrate you. So import string. This is just yet another example of string of the work that people have done before us. So we have ASCII letters, ASCII lowercase, ASCII uppercase, digits, punctuation, white spaces. So let's look at string dot ASCII underscore letters. Oops. Import string. Helps if you type all of the letters correctly. I knew something didn't look right. And if you are new here, I am dyslexic, so you will see lots of misspellings. Here we go. So that is every single letter. ASCII letters, all of the letters. So we got capital and lowercase. So lowercase and capital. Well, you say, well, what happens if I need just lowercase? Well, guess what? I don't know if I'll show my age here, but they have an app for that. Well, they have a method for that. Lower case. Boom. And then accordingly, uppercase. Boom. There we go. I wanted to cover that because I think someplace in this top one, or in the first 100, it's in there. Now we need to talk a little bit more about flow and control and how to neaten up some things. So we're going to do a little non-Pythonic, and then we're going to really improve this. Let me see where. All right. So awesome. Well, I'm glad I'm able to help you increase your knowledge in Python. I'm just going to close that because I do not need that. All right, that's that one. We're going to look at odd number. We're going to create a function, odd, and it's going to take. Now, so how many different conditions are there? It's either odd or even. So there's two. So we need to ensure that we have our two conditions set up. So what is an odd number? Well, how about we do the easier one first? An even number is a number divisible by 2 and with a remainder of 0. And we know, so 5 is not an even number because it has a remainder of 1 when we divide it by 2. It goes in 2 times and has a remainder of 1. So there we are. So now, let's just keep this clean, because if you're anything like me, you hate true and false with a not in there. So we're going to check an even number. So if x divisible by 2 equals 0, now we want to return. We're going to use return on this. So return true, else return false. And then we're going to test this. Even for, and we're just going to copy this. Not a big fan of copying, but it's not code. So 3, 5, and 8. So it should be true, false, false, true, right? And this isn't too bad. That's pretty clean, but I'm going to show you that it could be, oops. Now, what happened? I only returned it. I didn't print it to the screen, so you need to make sure that you are wrapping. Copy. All right. And I just pasted over my even. So let's go. So I got true, false, false, true. So true, false, false, true. So that is correct. But let me just show you that this can be cleaned up just a little bit more. So I know that this is going to be a test, right? So this is returning. I'm getting information back about the Boolean, correct? So let me show you that you can shorten this down to All right, here. What happened? How did I know I made a mistake? Because right here, it's on my column 0. It's on my edge. It's under my D. Because I didn't put a colon. So every time I'm in the body of either my condition or my function, I need to be under the first letter of my function every time. Return x modulo 2 equals 0. So I can shrink this down to one line because this is going to return a Boolean, correct? I don't have to go and go, okay, we'll test this. This is already being tested. So I'm just literally just going to return the test. Now, if you have an opposite, you could maybe need to have that because when I was first doing this, if I was doing an opposite, like odd, I sometimes needed to do that. But then once I got more comfortable with the reverse or the opposite, I just began to boil this down. So let's run this and let's make sure I've got everything right. True, false, false, true. So if I wanted to then do odd, how would I do that? Odd, x, let's do y. Then return x divisible by 2 not equal to 0. Copy, paste, copy, paste, 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 paste. So what should happen now? So I should have, let's put a little break here. Print, print. So I'm testing odd first, then I'm going to have a break, and then I'm doing even. So it should be false, true, true, false. Then true, false, false, true. Let's see if we did it right. Why? Okay, what'd I do? I went too fast. Sorry. So I guess look, this is one of the awesome reasons why I love Python. It tells you where you screw up and you get to go find it and you're going to learn about it. You learn, if you write a piece of code and you write it correct the first time, yeah, yay, you got it right. But I'm telling you, you didn't learn anything. When you screw up as much as I have, when I'm showing young people code and I love it, and they say, the computer was wrong, and I'm like, the computer's wrong? How's the computer wrong? Well, it didn't do it right. It's gonna do exactly what you tell it to do. So let's see. So I can eyeball my mistakes very, very quickly. So, and also it's going to tell you the type of error you made, the name of that variable, and then where. But I knew exactly what it was. I copied. This is why you don't copy. So line 138, my cursor's there, line 138, boom. I copied, I changed, and I did not change. So I could have technically left that the same. I am flying by the seat of my pants doing a live video, so thanks for hanging in there with me. So false, true, true, false, then true, false, false, true. So there we are. This is how you can neaten this up and put it on one line. Very Pythonic, very clean, very readable, very clear. You can do this when you're getting started, but especially if you're going to do the reverse or have a reverse condition. So, all right, there we are. Let's comment that out. Okay, and if you're just jumping in and you're just seeing us and you're joining us, thanks for being here. Drop in over in the chat just so I can see you. Just so I think there's 4 in right now, but in case you hadn't heard, all these videos, all this content has a video down in the playlist, down in the descriptions. So just if you are seeing something here and you're not sure how I did it, you can actually go back inside that playlist and find that specific video associated with this subject. Oh, and also, I don't think I've mentioned this before. Down in the, I don't know if it's in the description of this, but I think it may be. In the description of all the other videos, there is the GitHub of the link of all the code that I've done so far up to this point that you can go back and look at. Has every single bit of code, and that you're able to go and download and see and work with. Because if you learn that way, where you look and you're able to read it and see it and go from there. So, all right, let's see what is next. All right, clean that up. Oh, square root. So there are a couple of ways to do squaring a number. I said square root. I don't know if we want to get into square roots yet, but how to square a number. So there's a really simple way. So we have that. Then import, just like everything else here in Python, there is a library for that. All right. Power. Then pi, and then square root. So maybe we will look at. But all right, math.pi, and then math.power. All right, let's stay true to our form. Math, how does this work? Math.power. How do I use it? Okay, so I pass in two objects, and it returns x to the power of y. X to the power of y. So I go math.power, and I'm going to pass it in 2, and I want to cube it. So I get 8. Now, I want you to look, it returns a float. So be very aware of that. So if you're using it in your whatever you're working with, and you are expecting something, and you are then doing some math, and it is off a little bit, always check and see how it comes out, what is returned. So, all right. Now, we need to look at this. So have you guys ever seen how to import very laser focused? So these are all, so pow is a function inside the math module. So, and how I had to do this is I had to call math.pow, then pass the arguments. Well, I can laser focus this. From math, import pow. All right. So then pow, then I'm going to then pass in x, y. Oops. That's not what I meant to do. Then here. Then also, I want you to look at pi. Pi is not defined. From math, import pi. So then I call pi again, and pi is 3.14. I can only remember up to 3.14. I've never gotten fancy and tried to remember any more of those. So, all right, let's look and see what's next. Actually, we're going to use pi, and we're going to look at rounding. Help with round. So what does round do? It's a built-in function in the built-ins. Ooh, maybe we'll look at that next time. All right, round a number to a given precision decimal digits. Return value as an integer if int is omitted. Okay, so let's look at this. So round. So we got an argument, and then what did we learn about I think it was yesterday, what did we learn about equals and things? A default optional argument. So round, then we're going to put in pi. All right, so why'd that round down this far? Well, the instructions were return a value. The return value is an integer if in digits is omitted or none. Otherwise return. So if I go round pi, then I pass in 2, I get 3.14. And if I do this and I change this to 4, I get, because it says decimal digits, 4 and 2. So there we go. Now, okay, let's go ahead and look at square root. So you can do this. You can do this a couple different ways. So if you've ever seen powers and you know them, if you're pretty comfortable with math, you know that a power is also can be fractions going back and forth. If it's underneath, you do the inverse, it becomes a power. So just hang on and we'll elaborate. So a square root of 4, we take our power operator, then I'm going to go let's do 0.5. All right. So I want to do this in a half. All right, so this is weird. I know. I remember when I was first learning about math and powers and reciprocals and inverse, all of those things, opposites were always an extra challenge for me. All right, so then I can also do this as, so if I don't want to have to remember what the decimal needs to be, I can put it in as a fraction, and we just have to, oh, I know one thing. We need PEMDAS. We have to use math's order of operations. PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, adding and subtracting. Same rules apply. Parentheses, then exponents, powers, then multiplication and division, then, so I'm forcing, so if I would have gotten rid of this, all right, that one happens to work out because it's 4 divided by 2. But if I would not have had my parentheses, my order of operations would have been this, then this. So if I have 9, let's do 8. Then if I want to do this to, I want a third of this, I get my 2. And then one more example and then we'll move on. Actually, we'll use the square root math function. So, so a couple more people have joined. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like button. But I do have down in the description the playlist. I did remember to do that, and I've added it to all of the other live videos. But I just want to tell you guys, thank you for stopping in. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for giving me the feedback that you guys are getting. Do we have object-oriented programming? I do have some videos on class, but that's further along because sometimes that is a little bit more complicated for people to understand. But yes, I do have several videos, and especially the Pygame videos of the sprites and the things like that and how they interact. But yes, I do have object-oriented programming, but I don't know, well, I don't know where all of this is going to lead. But yes, you can go to the playlist for Pygame and playlist for class, and you will see some object-oriented programming there. So all right, let me see what we have on table for next. But great question, and thanks for posing it. Because look, if you guys have a question, please ask it. Because not only do I want to help you, but somebody else has that same question. I've been, my goodness, I've been teaching people for almost 30 years. I started a long time ago training people, and I've learned if you have that question, somebody always has a question. They just are reluctant because they may not think it's a good question. It's a good question because somebody has that question. Even if you kind of know, even if you just learned it and you're like, oh, okay, I wait a minute, I figured it out. Pose it anyway, because if you had that thought, somebody else had that exact same thought. All right, let's see. Prime numbers. Yeah, we're gonna look at prime numbers. So I'm going to show you the horrid way that I first did this. Then I'm going to show you the much cleaner Pythonic way. Then I'm going to show you a very, very clean. So bear with me, because we're actually also going to learn about some functionality of what return does in Python, because I use this so I'm going to just show you the, oh my God, the caps lock on? Okay, is prime. So let's talk for a second. What is a prime number? A prime number is a number that is only, and I remember I had to learn this because I was challenged. Well, why isn't 1 a prime number? Well, it has to be divisible by 1 and itself. 1 only has one number. It's 1, and the other one is 1. Those are not two different numbers. That's why. I posed it to a math message board, and then of course I scrolled down and found it. So it has to be 2 integers, and only two integers, 1 and itself. That is the definition of a prime number. So that is why 1 is not a prime number. Secondly, 2. 2 is the only even prime number. So that actually plays into how we are going to build this first thing. So again, now I have always bared my soul when coming to how I came to learn. So please don't be too rough on me, but I'm going to show you the very first way that I learned how to figure out a prime number. I remember because it actually was building upon the MIT class that I found, gosh, a very long time ago. It was all online, and I was not enrolled at MIT. Please don't know. I just saw these, and I was trying to challenge myself. Assignment 1 was a print function. I was like, oh, I can do this. And the second one was find the 1000th prime number. That took me about 4 weeks to figure out. So that's enough of the history right there. So for in range 2. So we just learned that we're going to start at 2. Then we're going to go through x. Then if x divisible by n equals 0, then d dot append n. Then if, I'm going to show you that this is the only way. Again, I was learning this all by my little lonesome. This was just garbage that I came up with, but it worked. Return false, and then else return true. So let me just show you what I built, what I did. So I wanted to capture if another number was divisible. So I went through and I started at 2, and if any of those numbers, so I had my bookends. I knew 1, and then I had my x. So that's why I don't have +1 here, because it's going to go right up into and include, exclude x. So I have my bookends, and I'm right inside that. So I'm going to check all those numbers in between 2 and my number to see if it's prime. Then if any of those were divisible, I was going to put those in a list. Then I tested, after I got done, I tested the whole thing. If there was anything in the list, it returned false. And then if it was empty, it returned true. Oh, and then I was actually pretty proud of myself. And then I started thinking about it, and I started learning more, and I started learning more. And I went, and this is kind of your hint right here. Then I realized that, well, wait a second. If this happens, I can stop. So if I'm going through, and then let's start back over. So then I clean this up some. Is prime my x? Oh, what'd I do? What'd I forget? My colon, because I left out. Because I knew I left something out because I was under my def. All right. So then I go, wait a second. So I'm over processing here. I don't need this. I just need to know if this passes, because then that is a fail. I only have to wait on one. So if this jumps down here at all, right? Because I'm testing numbers that should not happen. It should not be divisible by 0. So then I clean this up for in range. Same test. 2x. What I forget again. Then if x, then n equals 0, return false. And I do not need that. Now, so then I did this. Then return true. So I had learned at this point right here, I had learned about break. And then we'll learn about continue later. But I learned about break. So inside a loop, once you get to a break, if you have a condition that's met, you hit break, it jumps out of the first loop. So if you have multiple loops, you have to jump out multiple times. If you want to end the whole thing, you have to. A break only jumps out one loop. That is super important. So then I run across a bit of information called dead code. Well, the way that return works in Python is once a return is activated, every single thing below that is dead, is not activated at all. All right? So then I go, well, wait a second. I got some stuff. I got some stuff out there that, and I knew it was, and I looked around, and this is why you don't ever delete anything, okay? So now I'm like, wait a second. I think I got this. So now I can do this where I can get this down to my prime. Actually, let me leave this here. Z, copy, just so you can see the evolution. So then now I can do this where I can test a number to see if it's prime, and I can do this in 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of code. And it's readable, you understand what it's doing, and you can go from there. So that is the evolution of how to see if a number is prime. So now I'm going to show you how to find any prime number, nth, the nth prime number. So I just told you that there was a time when I was learning, and I'm still learning. Oh my God, I'm learning all the time. I'm writing bad code, and the code is getting better and better and better. So this is to test if a number is prime, but that does not give me. I'm only testing. So what happens if I want to find the 1/100th prime number, or the 1,000th prime number? Okay, so you're just learning about the help and dir. Okay, do you know about the interactive help prompt? Write that down in chat. Do you know about the help prompt, the interactive help prompt, where you don't pass in anything? You just, so then you can actually then begin to search. You actually have the prompt right here, and you can type in, you can type in something specific. Like I remember I started to learn about that in IPython. And there's IPython, and then the shell, and the interactive prompt was one that kind of bled them over. But look, you can, because I remember I was having such a hard time with with is and not and keywords, and especially trying to, like, what did it do? And because you can't run on anything else. So here we just talked about break. So I literally can type in break. Oh, here we go. So I have documentation. So these are the things, if it's not giving you enough in the documentation, come to the interactive prompt and you will get plenty. So here, break control, and then we'll try. You got try and accept, and then raising exceptions. Okay, so you didn't know about the interactive prompt. Awesome. So you can literally type in anything. So that was in what modules. Oops. So this is going to take a second because I have a ton. So a module is just like those others. I was importing math. These are files that are, you're going to hear packages, modules, libraries. All of these things are the same. So you're going to have, and all they are is Python files, .py. That Python knows how to read, and then they have documentation and how to use them. Now, I can't ever remember if it's the sys module, SYS. So it's going to begin to start pulling this down. So I forget how big this stuff is. I may actually, well, good. I'm glad this is helpful, because again, the reason why I created this channel was because I had some mainstays that I would go and look. Then they wouldn't have everything. They were super, oh, it's my pleasure for sharing this. And that was the reason why I created this channel was, look, those are all the modules I have, all the Python files, all the modules, and that are sitting on this hard drive. There were other computers too, and a laptop. So this is just the beginning, and you can search and look at all the documentation. Yes, it does, because that is why Python is so awesome. The creators and the maintainers make this very clean and clear and readable. Everybody talks about and wants to give Python a hard time about certain things, but the reason why, you are very welcome, that Python is so powerful and so amazing and so wonderful to use is the amount of people that are involved in this. I mean, there is a foundation that all they do is monitor, respond to bugs, and help out, and they sponsor Pi conferences. I have not had the luxury of going, but I will be going when things start settling down. very soon. The next closest one that is going to be near me is that's like my dream, is to figure out, because I do donate to the PSF, the Python Software Foundation, because these people do this, and a lot of them volunteer their time, but I mean so yes, if just something to think about. So all right, I know sorry I get all wound up, but I love this, and I want you guys to have all the support that you guys need to learn everything you want to. So all right, where are we? So we just did primes. Let's see, what's next that I wanted to talk about? Range functions. We did multiple assignments last time. Oh, some string methods. I want to look at some string methods. We need to talk about that. str. Some of these are very, very powerful. So let's look at, we need to look at join, we need to look at find, we need to look at count. What do I have here? Find, well, I wrote find, index, and count. So here's one that I love to do. All right, so for dad, I got a bunch of dads here. I want to see if you can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So now let's look at help str.find. String, whatever your string is, dot find, substring. So I want you to think about that for a second. You're using a string method, and you're going to look for a substring. Return the lowest index in the string where the substring is found. Return -1 on failure. All right, let's say that again. Return the lowest index. So we know about indexing. We're going to start at 0. And then we're going to, and it's going to find the lowest. So it's going to start at the beginning and then move over. Maybe. And then if it's not there, it's going to return -1. So that can be helpful for things later. So, all right, dad dot find, then D, 0. Now let's move over and do A. It's at 1. So that was 0, then A. Now watch this. If I go DA, where's this going to be found? Any guesses? Let's see. Let's check chat. Any guesses of where that might be found? What's the index that's going to return? We got any guesses? All right. It's going to be 0 still, because this right here is right here. Now, I got 2 A's. If I put in another A, that should be what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I do that right? 8. Index 8. Now let's pass it, Q along with this? 0. Good. All right. So what should return here? So I'm looking for the substring DQ. -1. It is not there. So now here's where this fun dilemma happens. So I got DAD. Start. So if I want to look for dad inside my variable of DA, DA, DDA, DAAA, DADA. Where's this? But if I do DA, DD, that should be 0, 1, 2. If I add another D. All right. So now, if I want to, we'll actually do this next time. This is until you get into regular expressions and very sophisticated, this has a downfall where this is only going to find the first instance. I don't like this lowest. If we say the first instance, it will return the index of the first instance. So it stops looking once it finds right here. Once it finds it, it's done. And then it looked here and it had this, but it does not count. All right, so if I do count dad.count A, how many A's are there? Let's bring this back in. Oh, dad. Bring that there. Put this here. It's getting a little too. All right, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 A's. Dad.count D. Helps if I get my parentheses in there. I also have 7. I guess I didn't remember that. Now, if I do dad.count dad, how many should I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like we got a problem to solve for next time. So why didn't this work? Well, let's look and see how this works. So string.count, return the number of non-overlapping occurrences of substring. What do we have right here? So that is where we're going to leave off today. And guess what? There's actually a video out there. So we're gonna pick back up there. Actually, let's do index. So before we cut, help.string.index. Return the lowest index, the first occurring index in a substring where in the string where substring is found. So we got dad.index and then D 0. Then DAD index. Let's just copy this. Sorry, you guys your time is very valuable. So then A, and then let's get dad back in here. Boom. All right, return the lowest. So I can look for all right, still 0. Now let's find where, and we have a DDAD. DDAD. So what is that? 5. So it's index 4. Boom. So there we go. All right. We are going to solve. Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely. So we're going to handle this next time. We're going to look at that, and if you actually want to go and look at the video how to solve it, so you can come back tomorrow and be a little bit more refreshed, and I'll go over it again, and we'll just keep moving. Let's see if I got through all the notes. Yeah, I actually did. We need to finish up with nth prime. We did and or string module. So yeah, well, I am having a blast doing this, and I hope you guys are getting something out of this. And I really appreciate you guys spending your time with me, because I do know that is our most valuable resource. We only have 24 hours in a day, and 168 hours in a week, and it's very, very valuable. So I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for spending your time with me, and we will pick back up here for our third stream for the week, and an hour seems about right, but I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. Notification bell. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, and if you know anybody who is struggling to learn Python, send them over here. Send them the link to that first 100 playlists so they can save a little pain and anguish. So, all right, guys. Thanks, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.